Something extraordinary begins to unfold when you stop seeing life as a static sequence of events and start perceiving it as a living field of possibilities. Every thought, every feeling, every subtle intention is like a vibration cast into that field, a signal that shapes the unfolding of what we call reality. The mind is not a passive witness to existence. It is a creative interface, translating consciousness into form. From childhood, we are taught that reality is made of solid facts. Yet as we look deeper, we discover that solidity is an illusion. Beneath the surface of matter lies movement, probability, and interconnection. Quantum physics reveals that the observer changes what is observed. In other words, attention is not neutral, it participates. This realization brings science to the edge of spirituality, where the line between inner and outer dissolves. Imagine consciousness as a vast ocean. Every belief, every emotion, every expectation is a wave pattern on its surface. The world you experience is simply the reflection of these inner ripples meeting the mirror of existence. When you begin to understand this, you no longer feel trapped by circumstance. You begin to sense that the universe is not happening to you, but through you. Most people move through life unaware of this dialogue. They believe thoughts are private and feelings are inconsequential. But the truth is that consciousness communicates with the field continuously. It listens, responds, and rearranges. Each decision, each act of perception, alters the probabilities ahead. Reality is not a fixed photograph. It is a living film, edited moment by the quality of your awareness. Think of attention as light. Whatever you illuminate becomes more defined. Whatever you neglect fades into shadow. Focus on fear and evidence of danger multiplies. Focus on potential and opportunities emerge from nowhere. This is not fantasy, it is neuroplasticity at work. The brain reorganizes itself around what you repeatedly notice. Circuits of limitation dissolve when no longer fed. Circuits of creativity strengthen with each act of trust. Quantum consciousness is not an abstract theory. It is the daily experience of knowing that how you look at the world changes what the world shows you. Every perception is filtered through meaning, and meaning is colored by belief. Two people can walk into the same room, one sees hostility, the other sees connection. The difference lies not in the room but in the lens. The mind is the lens, and attention is the hand that turns its focus. When you begin to observe your own thinking, a subtle miracle occurs. You realize that you are not the thoughts, you are the awareness behind them. That small distance is liberation. In that space of observation, the automatic loses power. The portal opens. Suddenly, you can choose new patterns instead of replaying old ones. You become the conscious participant rather than the unconscious passenger. The quantum field responds not to words but to vibration, to the emotional signature behind your focus. Doubt sends static into the signal, trust amplifies it. This is why gratitude, faith, and surrender are not moral virtues but frequencies of coherence. They bring the inner and outer into resonance. The universe does not reward effort as much as alignment. Yet trusting the unseen requires courage. The logical mind resists it. It wants control, prediction, certainty. But life is too complex to be fully controlled, and the more you tighten your grip, the narrower your world becomes. Surrender is the opposite of resignation. It is the relaxation of control so that larger intelligence can guide the process. You set the intention, life handles the choreography. This act of trust is like walking across a bridge whose far end you cannot see. Each step taken in faith reveals the next plank beneath your feet. The unknown ceases to be a threat and becomes the canvas of creation. Every great transformation begins in this territory, the leap without visible ground. When you trust the field, coincidences begin to bloom around you like constellations aligning in real time. You think of a person and they call. You ask a question and the answer appears in a book, a song, a sentence overheard in passing. These are not accidents. They are reflections of resonance. Synchronicity is the language of an intelligent universe communicating with itself through you. To the skeptical mind, such events seem random. To the awakened observer, they are whispers of coherence, proof that the invisible network is alive. Synchronicities multiply when you are present, when you have released excessive control and entered a state of flow. The less you force outcomes, the more the universe seems to collaborate. Trust unlocks order hidden within chaos. Still, trust does not mean ignoring fear. It means meeting fear with curiosity instead of submission. Fear contracts attention, curiosity expands it. Whenever you feel afraid, you are standing at the threshold of an unopened door. On the other side lies potential. The practice is simple but radical. Pause, breathe, observe. Ask, what is this fear protecting? And let the answer surface. Awareness dissolves paralysis. Everything that frightens you contains energy trapped in misunderstanding. When you face it consciously, the energy becomes usable again. The same current that once sustained anxiety transforms into intuition. This is the physics of emotion. Energy never dies. It only changes form through perception. As you learn to observe fear without judgment, it stops being an enemy and becomes a teacher. You realize that behind every fear hides a deeper invitation to trust. The more you trust, the more reality opens. Possibilities expand, synchronicities multiply, hidden potentials awaken. Those dormant potentials are like seeds buried in consciousness, waiting for the right conditions to grow. When you bring attention, imagination, and gratitude to them, they stir. You feel new impulses to create, to connect, to change directions. They are not random desires, but the next level of your evolution calling for expression. You do not have to force these potentials. You only have to notice and nurture them. A single moment of genuine enthusiasm can be the spark that reconfigures your entire path. The field responds to authenticity, not perfection. The more you align with what feels alive, the more support flows from unseen dimensions. You begin to realize that destiny is not pre-written but co-authored by consciousness itself. And through it all, presence remains the key. To be present is to tune your attention to the frequency of now, where all probabilities coexist before they solidify. The present is not a second in time. It is the meeting point of infinity and choice. Every breath is a doorway into that infinite potential. As your awareness stabilizes in presence, life slows down. Details sharpen. You notice how emotion changes perception, how perception changes circumstance. You begin to see that every conversation, every delay, every so-called coincidence is part of an intricate pattern guiding you toward expansion. The ordinary becomes radiant. The mundane becomes miraculous. This is what it means to trust the power of quantum consciousness, to live as if life is aware of you because it is. When you begin to live this way, you stop dividing the world into sacred and ordinary. Everything becomes communication. A gust of wind, a line in a film, the timing of an encounter, each carries symbolic precision. The universe speaks in metaphor, and the fluent listener reads meaning where others see randomness. At first, this dialogue feels subtle, almost invisible. But as sensitivity grows, synchronicity becomes unmistakable. Patterns align with mathematical beauty. What was once coincidence reveals choreography. You realize that you were never navigating chaos. You were learning to decode order. This understanding does not make you immune to challenge. Life will still bring change, loss, and uncertainty, but you face them differently. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you ask, "What is this teaching me?" The shift in question transforms victimhood into mastery. The lesson behind each event becomes visible, and resistance dissolves. The unexpected becomes the most eloquent teacher. A setback redirects you to an overlooked opportunity. A failure reveals skills you never knew you had. What appears as detour is often precision disguised as accident. Quantum consciousness teaches that nothing is wasted. Every experience refines the signal of awareness. Hidden beliefs begin to surface in this light. These are the silent programs that filter perception and shape destiny. Many were inherited. Ideas about worth, success, safety. They operate beneath awareness until observation exposes them. When they rise to the surface, they may cause discomfort, but that discomfort is liberation in disguise. Seeing the pattern breaks the spell. You cannot change what you cannot see. The moment a belief becomes visible, it loses absolute authority. You can examine it, test it, replace it. The act of observation collapses the old pattern just as the observer collapses the quantum wave. Awareness is the ultimate reprogramming tool. This inner work requires compassion. You are not erasing your past, you are integrating it. Each belief once served survival. Now you thank it, release it, and choose consciously again. The field mirrors this change immediately, though visible results appear gradually. New people, new opportunities, new coincidences begin to orbit your new state. Every transformation starts with a single choice of attention. To see differently is to live differently. This is the quiet power behind spiritual practice, meditation, or prayer. Each trains attention to align with a higher pattern. The mechanics are the same whether you call it physics or faith. When you practice conscious observation daily, time itself feels altered. Moments stretch. You perceive layers within layers, thought, emotion, sensation, all unfolding like nested universes. This expanded awareness turns ordinary days into living laboratories of creation. You see the direct correlation between your state and your experience. Imagine walking through your day as a lucid dreamer within waking life. You observe without judgment, respond with presence, and watch reality adjust around you. Someone's anger no longer provokes, it informs. A delay no longer frustrates, it redirects. Life ceases to be a series of problems to solve and becomes a field of feedback revealing your current frequency. This is not detachment, it is mastery. You are fully engaged yet inwardly free. The external no longer dictates the internal. You begin to sense a serene intelligence moving through everything, a rhythm that your own heartbeat echoes. You are no longer separate from the field. You are the field aware of itself. From this vantage, the movement from fear to trust becomes effortless. You realize that trust is not belief without evidence. It is recognition of evidence too vast to measure. Every breath is proof of support. Every sunrise is confirmation that life renews itself without your command. To live in trust is to cooperate with that renewal instead of resisting it. Fear may still whisper, but it no longer decides. You thank it for its warning and step forward anyway. Each time you do, the quantum field reorganizes to match your courage. This is how new realities are born, not by erasing fear, but by walking through it consciously. Trust also transforms your sense of purpose. You stop chasing meaning as something to acquire and start experiencing meaning as something you generate. When you act from coherence, thought, emotion, and intention aligned, the field amplifies your impact. Even small gestures ripple through the collective network of consciousness. The individual and the collective are not separate realms. They are concentric expressions of the same awareness. When one person expands, the field for all expands. Every act of trust, every moment of presence, Every surrender to the unknown sends a signal through the invisible web, reminding others unconsciously that expansion is possible. This is how humanity evolves, one awakened observer at a time. In this way, the universe is not a machine. It is a mirror made of living light. It does not demand worship. It invites participation. You are not a fragment of it. You are it, localized as a human experience. To trust the quantum field is to trust your own consciousness, because they are the same substance. The journey never ends because awareness is infinite. Each realization births new horizons. Each surrender reveals deeper order. Eventually, even the question, "How does it work?" fades into quiet awe. You no longer analyze the magic, you embody it. So pause now. Breathe deeply. Feel the pulse of life moving through you, the same pulse that animates stars, oceans, forests, and galaxies. That pulse is consciousness aware of itself as you. The more you trust it, the more reality synchronizes with grace. Look around. The signs have been here all along, in the coincidences that saved you, in the ideas that arrived perfectly timed, in the strangers who appeared with answers before you asked. Nothing was random. The universe was always responding to the quality of your attention. Trust that. Live as if the invisible is guiding you, because it is. The strange becomes natural. The impossible becomes inevitable. And the moment you say yes to that unseen partnership, quantum consciousness ceases to be a concept and becomes your lived reality. You are not walking through life. Life is walking through you.